In this episode, I'll be exploring the topic of pet parenthood as a senior, what it means to care for a pet during the older adult and senior years. Let's dive into the unique experiences, challenges, and joys that come with being a pet parent later in life. Hi, everyone, and welcome to Val Talks Pets, the forum for pet parents and enthusiasts alike. Having been in the pet industry for over 10 years now, I am going to share with you issues and questions that arise as I work with pet parents on a day-to-day basis. I am not a veterinarian, but I do have certifications in canine, feline, small animal, fish and herptile, and avian health and nutrition from the University of California, Davis Extension. First of all, I think sometimes the word senior is used in a wide spectrum that may or may not define the term in its entirety. Many stores have senior days that are for people over 55 years of age. Some stores, it is over 60 years of age. The actual retirement age is also quite different from country to country. In Canada, the official retirement age when you collect a government pension is 65. But if you want to defer until you are 70 years of age, you can. In Scotland, the government pension is paid out when you are 66, and that is scheduled to gradually increase to 67 and eventually to 68 years of age. My point here is that senior can be quite subjective. I have a friend who is 76, and she is at the gym regularly and is fitter than many 20 or 30-year-old. When it comes to having a pet, however, how does being a senior influence pet parenthood? Well, based on the crazy sales and traffic on Seniors Day, I would say there are a lot of pet parents over 55 years of age. The pros for having a pet in the second part of life are quite significant. Health and exercise are at the top of the list. According to comfortkeepers.com, the daily responsibility of caring for a pet, like feeding, grooming, and exercising, helps seniors maintain an active lifestyle. Whether someone is officially retired or not, getting the dog out every day or playing with the cat has a beneficial effect on someone's health. If the dog wasn't at the door looking to have a walk, would that person go out for a walk on their own? The dog is the impetus to get out there, whether it's a fun thing to do every day because you are retired, or it's what you do as soon as you get home from work or right after dinner. And it's not just the daily walk. Many people who have dogs are out in the park or at the beach running and throwing a ball, and including the dog in weekend activities. Not only is physical well-being a bonus, but so is mental well-being. Interacting with pets, as AI points out, can lower levels of cortisol, a stress hormone, and increase serotonin and dopamine, mood-regulating hormones. And I think this is a benefit for everyone, not just seniors. But some studies suggest that pet ownership may be associated with improved cognitive function in older adults. We all know that having a pet brings us so much joy as they wait for us to come home and welcome us like they haven't seen us in days, or cuddles and purrs from a cat. All of these things can be such a boost to an older adult who may be living alone, and just having their companionship can beat loneliness. Older couples can experience the fun of their pet, and the routine can be very helpful. Also, having a pet can be quite a social thing. People are so much more inclined to talk to someone who is walking a dog. These interactions help with social well-being. Going to the dog park can also create social interactions, and belonging to a breed group that meets up is a real social positive. And older adults who have pets are often quite open to pet sitting for others. I think, however, the pet experience does differ pre-retirement and post-retirement. Even so, someone may fall into the category of A senior, based on retail or the government, they may not technically be a senior for another 10 years. And someone may easily be 65 but still working. These factors influence their pet parent experience. So let's look specifically at older adults after retirement or over 65. Now, just because someone falls into this category, it doesn't by any stretch mean they are dotting around on a walker. Many retirees travel, play golf and tennis, pickleball, go to the gym, socialize, you name it. This group can easily have a pet, have no problem keeping up. But there does need to be a reality check as well. I have had encounters with older couples or singles who say they just got a puppy and are struggling with the energy and time commitment. My question then is, why did they get a puppy? Would not a dog with a few years have been better suited? One that could be rescued and would get everything to have a home? I'll be honest, I don't think I have what it takes to take on a puppy. Puppies can be a real handful. So the realistic question older adults need to ask is if they have the wherewithal anymore to deal with the training, the energy, the destruction, etc., etc. I do know a few people who are in their 60s that have taken on a puppy and done quite well. These people are very experienced dog people and still very active and engaged. The situations they encountered were not a seeking out of a puppy, but a situation where they stepped up as the only option for the young dog. This also applies to getting a kitten. My Rory just turned 15. I'm sure he's got a few years left based on him not showing hardly any signs of slowing down. If you get a kitten at 70, the cat could easily still be around, albeit as a senior himself, when you are 85 or so. Again, it depends on the person and how with it they are at 80. I know someone who is 86 now, I think. She still drives, rescued a little chihuahua a few years ago because he was being dropped at the vet for euthanasia for no other reason than the family didn't want him, despite being their mother's treasured dog. The vet refused and thought of my friend, and she took him on. I see her often on my way to work, strutting down the road to her house after being up on the trails hiking for an hour with her little companion. So that is a story that defies many beliefs of a senior person. And to clarify, the little Chihuahua was not a young dog, but he really gave her a challenge. It really does come down to how the person is coping with being older. Having a pet can really help with physical and mental well-being. Pets abate loneliness and foster socialization. They can be such a source of joy and make retirement all the better. There are some cons, however, having a pet as an older adult. If after retirement money becomes tight, having a pet may exacerbate this. I have had that shake my head moment when I deal with someone looking for food that is inexpensive because they are on a fixed income. Then I find that the person actively went out to get a young dog. Why would you go out and get a young dog when you know you really haven't got the income to support? Vet bills are expensive, even for people working full-time. I can't imagine while on pensions only. The timing has to be considered. How old will the dog be when you are quite senior? Do you have the financial security to have a dog, to feed it well, and deal with the vet bills? Recently, a senior man, I'll guess late 70s, wanted to know if I knew anyone who may want his border collie. The dog was 3 years of age. He and his wife were moving to a retirement community, and it wouldn't allow their dog. I asked how long he had the dog, and he said he had it since it was a puppy. I then asked why he got a puppy when only 3 years later He was moving to a retirement community. Now this poor dog was going to be rehomed. However, it could have worked out well and ended up going to a young family that it could be a part of. I don't know what happened. But this is what I mean about the reality check. Many retirees do downsize, and having a dog just isn't in the cards anymore. But a cat can certainly fill that space of wanting to have a furry companion. But again, a kitten may not be the best choice. I encountered a lady the other day who sought out a senior dog to adopt. She says this is not her first senior dog. She said, well, I'm not getting any younger myself, so I would like to give a senior dog a few good years of love and attention. I love her. What a lovely thing to do. And one other topic that I think needs to be discussed when it comes to older adults and seniors having a pet is what is the plan for that pet in the event of the parent passing away. The other day, an older man was telling me about the puppy he and his wife had just got. He said something about the dog outliving him and his wife, so I said, well, put it in your will. He looked at me funny and said, oh, that's not a problem. My daughter will take him. I said, well, I just hear it all the time about a person duck, their words, with a dog from their parent, and they are looking to rehome it. My over 80 years old friend has her little dog for that reason. And my other friend has a cat for that reason. Then this man kind of rethought and said, well, what do you do in a will? I explained that people put in their will who has agreed with pleasure to have the pet. And in the event that that person cannot take the pet, the next person is designated. If going to a shelter is not an option, think of the next option that is comfortable. So I think the topic of having a pet as an older adult and a senior is quite tricky. Several factors come into play. The age of a person and their ability to care for a pet is so dependent on how well that person is aging. The benefits for having a pet are significant. I think we would all love to have animals around us, but we have to be realistic and unselfish. There are cons to pet parenthood later in life as well. Many people want that freedom after retirement to travel and spend days doing road trips. Having a dog can really put a crimp in that style. A cat can be a bit easier, but again, someone will have to be in place to care for it if you are off traveling. Again, what is the lifestyle being adopted? Do pets actually work into that lifestyle? Finances have to be considered, and the well-being of the pet has to be forefront. As we age, we have to be unselfish in our desire to have a pet and put their best interest first. But having said that, many older adults and seniors have the best relationship with their pets and are perfectly capable of caring for their needs. As I said, this is tricky. The best thing to do is to take a hard look at finances, lifestyle, and health. Be realistic. And of course, do some research. Because as I say, knowing it is caring. Thank you for listening to Val Talks Pets. Please remember to follow or subscribe to ensure that you never miss an episode. To really help the show and to make it easier for others to find, please rate and review each episode that you find interesting and helpful. And don't forget that you can also email me at val@valtalkspets.com with topics you would like me to address or with any questions you may have. Also, check out my website at valtalkspets.com and let me know what you think and how we can improve upon it. Thanks for caring!